Welcome to the Box Score Sports Podcast.
Points as well.
Yeah.
Okay, well, let's move into Tom Thibodeau because today he was fired.
Yeah.
Just the last 3 years with New York, he was 47, 45, 50 and 32, 51 and 31. Um, I guess, first of all, I guess, do you think they should have fired him? Let me start there. Moved on from him.
I tend to be more conservative with these type of things. So my initial reaction is no. I think it's strange to fire someone after your best season in 25 years. And if you honestly look at the teams, like we said, we both think they got beat by a better team. So I think it's strange. Now he had been there for 5 years. He does have a history as he's more of a floor raiser coach where he's going to take a team that's not very good. He'll turn them into a playoff team, but he was the same way with the Bulls and the Wolves, and they couldn't quite get over the hump. And so maybe that's the problem, is that he's maxed out his potential, but his two best players are negative defensive players, and he's a defensive-minded coach. So I guess, how well is the fit there? And that's more on the people building the roster than him, I sort of think. But I don't know.
Yeah, I kind of lean your way too. I don't know if it was a good idea. I think we'll try to put ourselves in the New York Knicks front office shoes and figure out why in a second. But I'm with you. I think that they built that team to beat Boston. When they made when they got Anunoby and then they traded for Miles Bridges, they were like, we're going after Boston. We got to beat Boston. We got to have someone to guard Tatum and
Yeah.
Brown. They did that. That was their goal. I don't think
Yeah.
they or anyone else predicted that the Pacers would be such a
Yeah.
good team,
Uh-huh.
and they didn't have the capabilities of stopping the Pacers
Mm-hmm.
like they did
Yeah.
Boston. So I just think it would have only been fair to go into the offseason like, okay, we have Boston figured out. Now let's see if we can get
Yeah.
the Pacers, because I think that'll be the team next year you're going to be most worried about is the Pacers. And with Tatum being injured, Boston isn't as big of a problem. So I would have been, like you said, a little more conservative, go into the offseason, let these guys gel the whole offseason, work on my depth, and then go from there.
Yeah.
So I'm with you on that.
This is one of those things. Now, some people are saying Mike Malone. And then I forget, someone said there's no chance that's happening. Some reporter, I forget who.
Monty Williams is available.
Is I think he's probably more like maybe high school or AAU.
Sure, yeah, fair.
But some people are saying like Jay Wright, because all the Villanova guys, which that's risky. A guy. I think Jay Wright might have been in the NBA like back in the 90s. I'd have to double check that. But a guy who has been in college, now retired for like 25 years, to go into NBA, that's extremely risky. It's one of those things where like you really better be confident that you're getting an improvement. And with the Knicks franchise history,
Yeah.
I wouldn't be too confident that they'd make the right move.
Yeah, it's hard because since they changed like who's been deciding the move. Who is it? It's
Well,
like a
Leon Rose built
yeah.
the roster,
Yeah.
and I don't really know his like backstory at all. But
Right.
we forget James Dolan still is the owner.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, that's true. But I do trust like they've built a solid roster.
Yeah.
Like they've done a good job of getting the Knicks back into contention.
Yeah.
So maybe we'll just have to wait and see. But maybe before we get to that, why do you think the Knicks moved on from him then? Because neither one of us thinks it was necessarily the right decision, but they made that decision. So what do you think it
Yeah.
was that made them move on?
I would guess that it's been 5 years, and he seems like he's got more of like the abrasive old school personality, and some of their players. Well, okay, Cat was with him in Minnesota too, because I saw something. I totally kind of just spaced on that, where it's like, imagine if you're him and Cat's gotten you fired from.
Twice, yeah.
I'm not, that's a joke. I'm not necessarily blaming him outright, but
Sure.
he's been fired twice with the same star player
Yeah.
both times, and
Yeah.
he might be a little bit of a softer guy, personality wise, and if Thibodeau is more of a gruff taskmaster sort of person, the personalities might not gel. And for the other players, if they've been there multiple years, he might not be an easy guy to deal with.
Yeah.
And we didn't reach our goals. I guess maybe that would be why.
And their goal was to get to the championship. I
Yeah.
mean, the finals, I should say. Yeah.
Yeah.
That could be it. I also think two other things. I think maybe if you look at the offense and your biggest like all you can do is dribble, dribble, dribble with Brunson and try to figure something out. Maybe it's time to get somebody in there to figure out the offensive side of the ball because you have too
Yeah.
much talent on that side of the ball to just go down court and let Brunson do everything all the time.
Mhm.
Okay, you should have more variety in that style of offense.
Yeah. Bill Simmons had kind of an interesting line of reasoning where, he plays, and this has been his thing for his entire coaching career, is that he plays his starters heavy minutes every game all season long. So by now we got to the playoffs, and the starting lineup is not a good matchup against the Pacers. And so now all of a sudden he's throwing out bench guys that really have not been a factor all season long. And obviously, I don't think that's a bad thing as a coach, as you're trying to find something that works. But I do agree with his general, he said this for years, is that the regular season is where you experiment with different sorts of lineups and matchups and rotations to see what works in different situations. And if you play all your guys 34, 36 minutes a night, and now it's the playoffs, and all of a sudden you have DeLon Wright and Landry Shamet out of nowhere try to make something happen, which to his credit, that one game they came in and played like good minutes, it's just, it was a weird thing. Now Mitchell Robinson's in the starting lineup and Josh Hart is on the bench and only playing like 18 minutes or whatever, so there was some weird, like, I'm really desperately trying to find something to work here.
Yeah. Yeah, and Robinson was someone he relied on when he was healthy, right? So like
Yeah.
that's a part of the problem. Yeah, so that's the other thing I have. So I have some things here for with that in mind, the minutes thing. So he so over 50 games a season, New York had 9 guys who played over 10 minutes. So that's not bad, right? Like but their 5 starters all played 35 minutes or more a game. 2 of them played over 37 minutes a game. Okay. Now to get some like let's what's it called, like where you're comparing it to other teams. How many Oklahoma City Thunder players played over 35 minutes a game?
I'm going to guess the only one is Shea, maybe Jalen Williams, but I would say Jalen Williams is probably right at like 34 minutes.
Zero.
Oh.
Players played.
All
How
right.
about the Cavs?
Cavs, maybe Mitchell, because I don't think Evan Mobley plays 34 minutes a game.
So zero.
Okay.
Zero played over 35 minutes a game. How about the Celtics?
Celtics, Tatum no, because they mix in Hauser and I'm blanking on their other main bench guy. Tatum seems like the only one, but I'm going to guess by your reasoning, I'm going to say 0.
Oh, you should have stuck with your gut.
Ah!
Tatum, 1.
Yeah.
Tatum. Yeah. Pacers, 0.
Mhm.
I think they didn't even have a guy over 33 minutes. Minnesota has 2. But my point is like when you look around the league
Yeah.
and you look at these teams that you're competing with at the highest level, the Pistons only had 1. They played Pistons in the first round. Look, Cade was the only guy over 35. So when you look around the league and everybody you're playing against or that are at your level and they don't have to play their guys 35 to 37 minutes a game during the regular season, and you're like, well, why are we doing that? I think that's a good case to be like, okay, maybe the way you do things needs to be adjusted.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's like, and so that's sort of like, okay, maybe because they have a weak bench, you need to play your guys that much in order to win. But now you get to the play, and this has always been a thing. So maybe they overachieve, but now you get to the playoffs, and every other team is playing their star players 8 minutes more a game. So if that, you know what I mean? So it's sort of like the other teams aren't 100% maximizing their regular season potential because it is a long regular season, and you need to, conserve yourself. But now it's playoffs, and now it's 100% full throttle. So they just matched your level sort of that you've been at the whole season, if that makes sense.
No,
That's
it does.
sort of like his thing, his whole career.
Right, and that totally does. But and it's just like, I know you could be like, well, why does how much you play in the regular season matter versus the playoffs? Well, it's just because of wear and tear. More times you could get small injuries, like exhaustion, all this other stuff. Just to kind of put some of the a bow on some of the stuff that I have written. All five of their starters, I think, have their total minutes during the playoffs. It's all five of their starters is the top five.
Yeah.
Now they did play an extra game, so you give them that versus some of these other teams, but it's still kind of crazy because they're like almost 100 and some minutes over the rest of the people. That's crazy to me. They have three of the top 5 minutes per game in the league. Three of their starters, 4 that are in the top 15, and I think in the playoffs. In the regular season total minutes, they have 3 in the top 10 total minutes compared to all other teams. All other players, I should say, in the NBA. So the point is, that could be it. Is they're like, we don't have a solid enough offense. We have too much talent to be running Brunson around. And number 2, your minutes are kind of crazy. What are we doing here with our starters? We should be preparing our bench. Like, you're right. Maybe they don't have depth, but maybe part of the reason why they don't have depth is because they're not playing any of their guys to get them ready for the playoffs. That's the other part of it. So
yeah. I've sort of seen people throw around this phrase too, is that, excuse me, like the NBA is kind of now like, because there's so many talented players, is that it's kind of like a weak link sort of thing. Like, you're as strong as the weakest link in your lineup right now. And with the Knicks, they have several guys that like you put, like, Mitchell Robinson is a good player, but he has a fatal flaw, and then he has no offensive game, and he is like the worst free throw shooter of all time.
Yeah.
And so, like,
Ben Wallace wants to give you a ring or ding ding.
But Ben Wallace wasn't down to like 30%.
That's fair.
As far as I know, Ben Wallace was like in the 50s at least. But like, so if he's a guy that's playing heavy minutes, you're going to be limited because he has a fatal flaw that other teams can exploit very badly.
And that's
so that, and then like we talked about, their 2 best players are negative players on defense. So they have fatal flaws in their roster construction.
Yeah, correct. But like, so if you look at the talent they should have on the offensive side of the ball, when you're playing a team like the Pacers, you think that could kind of offset. But it didn't. So yeah, it's gonna be interesting where the Knicks go from here, I guess, is my. But I think if you're going to list the reasons why he got fired, those are probably it. Okay. Thanks so much for watching this clip of the Box Score Sports Podcast. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you haven't yet, please subscribe to our channel. Follow us on Instagram and Twitter or X. And we'll talk to you guys real soon. See ya.